Hello YouTubers, this is me here, and I'm starting a new series here, especially on this new channel. I figured I'd do my top 5 draft picks in team histories in the NHL, and I thought I'd start off alphabetically, so if you're a fan of like the Vancouver Canucks, Winnipeg Jets, the Washington Capitals, you'll be waiting quite a while for me to get to those. But I'd started to look at it now. The criteria for this is they had to have been drafted. There's no free agents. There's no trades. If I'll probably later do a top team videos of players in each team history, regardless of that includes trades, free agents, all that. But this one right now is just draft picks, and this also covers the entry draft, and for the 9 years they had it, the supplemental draft, which was college amateurs, pretty much an amateur draft out of college. But anyway, today we're starting with the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. Now this team is one of those teams that hasn't been around for a very long time really in the NHL, about 20 years, which is actually considering very short time. There's only a few teams that have been in here longer. They were part of the 1993 expansion, I believe. That included and it was actually really good. Now some honorable mentions on this list. Mostly because A, they haven't played there long enough, or B, their impact wasn't as much as some of these other players. Now, some of the honorable mentions you can put on here are guys like Cam Fowler, who, like I said, right now he's a defenseman, who knows, but right now he just did not crack the list. Oleg Tverdovsky, once again, another defenseman, good defenseman, he was a part of the Teemu Selanne trade, so he left for a number of years, and he came back and really only spent a few years in Anaheim. But let's get on with the list, and the list consists, number 5 is the 9th overall pick in the 1996 NHL draft, Ruslan Salei. Now, some would say, why the hell is Ruslan Salei on this list? The reason I put him on this list over a bunch of other guys is because he spent a lot of years in Anaheim. And that's where maybe some of these guys, you could say, well, these guys spent longer there. But I think at a time when this team was really... I think people forget actually how bad the Anaheim Mighty Ducks were in the 1990s. Like, they were not perennial... How do you put this? They weren't perennial playoff teams. They were very hit and miss to make the playoffs. Most years it was like a struggle to make 8th. And Ruslan Salei is one of those guys that were there like over the last 10 years, like fans who've started watching since after the 02-03 season might not remember actually how bad the Anaheim Mighty Ducks were. But he was that steady shutdown defenseman on their team, and he was actually one of their better defensemen through those eras. Number 4 is a pick out of the supplemental draft in 1994, named Steve Ruchin, who spent just about 10 years with the Anaheim Mighty Ducks and was a key part to that 2003 Stanley Cup run that they made where they lost the New Jersey Devils. He was a big part of that. Good perennial 50-point player, which you're thinking for this list, perennial 50-point player, which if you remember back in the 1990s, late 90s, early 2000s, some of those years it was a bore to watch some teams play, but to put up 50 points, you were pretty good. Some of that helped is some of the players he played with, but, well. The top 3 of this list was actually very easy to pretty much go through and say who's on it. Pretty much for anyone. I think 1's a lock. 2 and 3 can be debated. Number 3 for me is the 28th overall pick in the 2003 draft, the year after they went to the Cup. The year after they went to the Cup, they lost their pretty much heart and soul, their captain, and they drafted Corey Perry with the 28th overall pick, which was, in my opinion, a game changer. A 50-point goal scorer in the NHL. He's been here for just about 10 years or plus. He's, in my opinion, one of the best players in the league right now. You could put him up there against Crosby, Ovechkin. It's just pure goal scorer. Number 2 comes from the 2003 draft as well, number 19th overall, so 9 picks before Corey Perry. You get Ryan Getzlaf. Now, the thing about Ryan Getzlaf is he is a grinder. He's a bruiser, but he can put the puck in the net. And that's one thing about Perry and Getzlaf is they are 2 of the best draft picks Anaheim has ever drafted. And a lot of their success goes back to the 2003 draft, and especially those first 2 picks. For all you can say about Brian Murray, and he built, I'll say it, Brian Murray built most of that Ducks 2006 champion, 2007 Stanley Cup champion team was Brian Murray built that. Before he went on to Ottawa, rest is history. And Getzlaf and Perry also perennials representing Team Canada, perennial All-Stars. Say what you will. Number 1, I don't think there's any doubt. The 4th overall pick in the 1993 NHL entry draft, Paul Kariya. Heart and soul. He is, when you talk about Mr. Anaheim Mighty Ducks, Paul Kariya is Mr. Duck. And especially those first 10 years, those really hard years. He was their first superstar they ever had. Lit up the league when they acquired Teemu Selanne. Paul Kariya at that time was already, you knew he was going to be something really special. But once they acquired Teemu Selanne from Winnipeg, mostly because the Jets were on financial dire straits, it just changed everything. And he went from being maybe an 80 to 90 to a 100-point guy. Just like that, just by adding Teemu Selanne. And the chemistry between Kariya and Selanne was so good. Only shame is, after that cup run in 2003, they couldn't re-sign him. That's the only shame, that he had to leave because they couldn't re-sign him, and they brought in Fedorov, they brought in a bunch of other guys saying, okay, this will replace him. It never did. And maybe once Ryan Getzlaf and Corey Perry got there, it was better, but you look at Paul Kariya, he was that heart and soul. If it wasn't for Ryan Suter cross-checking him in the face in 1998, he would have probably scored a ton more goals in his career. Thing about Paul Kariya, he went on with Teemu Selanne in 2003-04 to join the Avalanche with Sakic and Forsberg, and everyone thought, well, there's the cup right there, and it never did materialize, and Kariya never did get close again, which is kind of sad. I wish he would have ended his career in Anaheim, but it wasn't meant to be. Concussions, especially that 2003. You want heart and soul of a player. He got knocked out by Scott Stevens, one of the most devastating hitters / goons in the league. He comes back, he scores the game-winning goal. Like, think about that. But anyway, that's my list of the top 5 draft picks in Anaheim Mighty Ducks history. I'd like to hear your guys' top 5 lists of Anaheim Mighty Ducks draft picks down below. Be sure to like, comment, favorite, subscribe. This is me here once again. Peace.